And developing tonight at 11 o'clock, a big move in Lansing involving money for your child's education. A Senate committee has agreed on a budget for schools that would increase the money for public education. That budget would add $11 per student beginning this year. We have complete live coverage for you tonight coming from two expert sources. The superintendent of West Michigan's largest school system, Dr. Bernard Taylor, and 24-Hour News 8's education reporter, Tony Tagliavia. We'll get to Tony in a moment. First, let's start with Dr. Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, sir. Let's talk about what this means for the district. And first off, did the school board budget for cuts in funding?
Yes, the school board did budget for cuts. That was a prudent thing to do at the time. Clearly, with this new development, we're grateful that there is going to be a school aid budget. It makes it possible for us to plan more purposefully. But the $11 is a restoration of the $165 that was cut earlier. And what this positions us to do is look at where we are now, look at priorities we have going forward, and make necessary adjustments where warranted.
And Dr. Taylor, a lot of parents probably wondering, if you did budget for those cuts, will you undo some of those now?
Again, one thing that we have to be mindful of is we have unsecured debt for buildings that were built without bond proceeds. That's about $14 million. And there are other spending priorities that we have to take a look at that the previous board has started work on, and the new board will obviously take a look at as we move forward after July 6th.
Dr. Taylor, broadly speaking, what does this $11 per student mean to the district? How much money are we talking about?
Well, we're talking $209,000. But one thing that is always a concern is that these numbers fluctuate so much. So I don't think this is a time to do anything but be cautiously prudent. This is not a time to go on a wild spending spree, because all this could change just as it has changed since we started our budgeting process back in February.
Superintendent of Schools in Grand Rapids, Dr. Bernard Taylor, thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And joining us now to break this down even further, 24-Hour News 8 education reporter Tony Tagliavia. We just heard from Dr. Taylor about GRPS. What about the other school districts now?
A lot of school districts in West Michigan and around the state were planning for a flat funding. No increase, but no cuts. And for them, this is a good thing. It means that the plan that they made for their budget will probably not be affected by this.
Okay. This certainly seems like it happened in a hurry, didn't it?
Yeah, a couple of reasons for that. First of all, July 1st is actually the deadline for schools to get their own budgets intact. The state doesn't have to come up with its budget until the fall, but school and city budgets start July 1. That's about 2 hours from now, so lawmakers can say that they got the state education budget done in time for schools to know what their budgets were. But of course, the schools had to get their budgets done well before, since it is only 2 hours to the deadline.
Right. What about $11 per student? Do you think that's going to really flush out and make some big changes for other districts? I mean, it added up to $209,000 for GRPS.
And since it's per student, that's going to be by far the largest that we have in terms of the sum total for districts in West Michigan. Effectively, while, for GRPS, $200,000 might sound like a lot of money, it's not a huge sum, and it won't really be a life-altering sum for any West Michigan school district, more than likely.
Any money can help, though, of course.
I think they would say that for sure.
Tony, thank you.
Yeah.